Hi guys, this is Russell Follas. I'm coming back today because I had some question about my previous video or the previous videos I've been making up to now. Eh, I thought that it would be really interesting in setting up the difference between uh, what the unemployment benefit that everybody is actually applying, what it actually is, and what's the difference between that benefit that people can take now and the other benefit available for people during this type of outbreak because of COVID-19. So I'm waiting for you guys to join the meeting. I'm a little sorry. Yeah, I was having some issue with my phone with the network. So basically, I'm waiting for people to join. Yeah, it will be really interesting. If you have been taking, or you have been home, and first of all, you don't even know what to take while home, at least you know that there's an unemployment that you can take. But the purpose of this video is to let people know that the unemployment is not the only option that you have. I mean, you should take in consideration so many factors, of course. So we will see what are the benefits of taking the unemployment and what is the cons, or what are you actually losing when you are taking the unemployment. And we will, of course, explore other options other than unemployment and what are the benefits of taking those other options. So basically, I'm waiting for you guys to join in, and you can type. I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you type 1 in the chat? Can you type 1 in the chat? Sometimes I'm confused when I'm on the live. I don't know if I'm being listened to by people. Can you please type 1 in the chat to let me know that you are able to hear what I'm saying? So again, you guys can share out, share your timeline, share everywhere you can share. If you know somebody who might be actually home now and he's wondering how he's going to do with his bills, it's the time now to share with him, for him to see the options that he has as a taxpayer being home because of the COVID-19. So basically, like I said earlier, I don't know if people can hear me. If you can hear me, please type 1 in the chat. Type 1. I will know that people are following me. Yeah, hi guys. Hi Alan. Hi Calvin. So I'm still waiting for you guys to let me know if you can hear me. Okay, German, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's good. Who else can hear me? Sometimes it's about the the device. So who else can hear me? Oh, everybody can hear me when I'm talking. Yeah, we have to share a lot today. We have to share a lot. At the end, I mean, unemployment is not a bad thing, but we actually need to know if it's the only option that we have. That's the question. Is it the only option? Do you have some type of planning in the future? What are your projections financially or socially or in your career? Like, you have to consider a lot of things when you are taking the unemployment. You have to consider so many stuff when you are taking unemployment. Unemployment should actually be the ultimate option that you have. Of course, people are taking it because they are hopeless. They don't have no more solution. Like, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They are like, okay, how am I gonna pay my bills? Then I go for unemployment. So, but we have to be educated. You have to search. You have to look for other alternatives. And that's the reason why we are having this video today. We need to know what are the solutions, what are the options available to for us as a taxpayer, because I mean we paying taxes, we are the best, we are the one, you know, financing the government. We are the one financing the government. Okay, I have my friend over there wanted me to speak in French also. I mean, I guess you can hear English, but when it comes to the question, you can ask the question, you know, in French, in English, or in Italian. I will take a pleasure to translate it in English and respond. I will also be able to respond in French. So feel free to ask the question. It doesn't matter where you are. Feel free to ask the question in French. And I will also allow people to join the live. I think there's a way to actually call to join the live. I don't know how it works, but if you guys know, when I come to a question Q&A, you guys can call and, you know, ask your question or whatever you want to do. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to do my part. We are in the time of crisis. During the time of crisis, everybody should feel concerned about it, and everybody should do whatever he can do to help. Help doesn't always mean like going in the war, because everybody is not equipped to go in the war. When there were World War II or World War I, they sent soldiers there. No nurses were allowed to go there, right? But who were the people allowed to go to the war? The people trained for that. So at this time, but everybody was involved in the war. The cook were able to make the cook for those soldiers. So to me, I feel like everybody should feel concerned wherever you are. It doesn't matter which country you are. You have to do your part if you can contribute to stop the spread of this COVID-19 and accelerate the cure of it. The more we have people discharged from the hospital, the better it is for us, and the sooner we will be over with this enemy, invisible enemy, the way they call him. So basically, what I'm doing now, I'm trying to bring to people what I know that can actually help them to help the government. That is actually what I'm doing. I don't get paid for that. I'm not talking to my client or my customer. No, I'm talking to people. I'm talking to people to say, to let them know that we together have to win this battle. We have to do our part to help the government to solve the crisis. The first thing, one of the big order from the government is to stay home. But so many people will just not stay home. Okay, you have been seeing that the unemployment rate, the unemployment application is going up, even though it's like 6 million. How many people are in the United States? Or how many people are in the country where you are? A lot of people. So people should know what are the other alternatives. Whether you are already applying or you are about to apply for unemployment, you have to know what are the other alternatives. It's good, okay, if you already stay home and apply for unemployment, at least that is a solution, because you are not risking to increase the number of cases in the hospital by going out, unless you are actually one of the soldiers. If you are one of the soldiers, like to win this battle, I really encourage you to go. Or if you are going effectively because you really want to contribute, you really want to fight, you really want us to succeed on this war, I give you all the respect. I give you all the respect. But I just don't want people who didn't fight for unemployment because they are not even aware of it. They don't know how it works. Effectively, it takes time. The unemployment takes time when you apply. And they feel like to be able to keep paying their bills, they have to go out and risk their life and risk their family and friends and the community life for nothing. Whereas the government has passed two major laws to allow people to actually stay home, respect the self-isolation or quarantine that's being done by the government. So everything is set up for you guys to help the government and the doctor, the healthcare professional to actually do the job. So why should always people be taking some type of risk just because they don't know? sometimes they say if you want to hide like an information from the black people, I mean, just put it in reading. Nobody will read it. Just write it somewhere in the newspaper or put it somewhere where they should go there and read. Nobody will read it. That's the reason why people will always do about what they hear. People will always act from the only thing they know, and they will not try to look beyond what they think they know and what they think should exist for them. So without further ado, I'm going to start with our topic. Our topic is what? I said that there are one major law that was passed by the government on March 18 that actually help people to feel comfortable financially while stay home. I'm saying again, there is a law that was passed on March 18 of this month, or I mean on the past month, March 18, 2019, that actually help people to feel confident financially while stay home. When I say people, I'm talking about people who are not really involved in this war, who are not even fighting, like actively fighting to stop the spread of the diseases or to find the cure of the diseases. I mean, you can identify yourself. When I say that, you can identify yourself as the person or a self-responder or the frontline people. You can identify yourself to know if you are really in the need to stop this virus. If you are not, you know I'm talking about you. So basically what happened is that on March 18, the government the president has signed a law coming from the Senate and House or whatever it is, but it was signed. It wasn't an executive order. It was a law, like debated and signed it and approved it by all the members of the Senate and the House. And it was signed by the president. That was on March 18, like I said. The law is called Family First Coronavirus Response. So Family First Coronavirus Response is a temporary law that comes to actually like expand the way the Social Security Act actually react in time of crisis. It means what? Whatever you don't have a job, the Social Security, which we can find unemployment into, actually helps you to keep getting something. And most of the time, what it does is that it allows you to get the unemployment. That's why people will actually get unemployment. But this law comes with other provision. It comes with two major temporary provision. The first one is what? The first one is what they call emergency family leave. The second provision of that law is what they call emergency paid sick leave. That means you have two major laws that will actually expire at the end of this month. I mean, end of this year, sorry. At the end of 2020, you can use that no more. So basically, what does those two major provisions of that law do? Before I talk about it, I'm going to talk about the unemployment first, because this is actually what people know. People know about unemployment because it's widely known by majority of workers. They know that if you can't work, just take unemployment. Now, there's still a law this law actually comes to increase, the CARE Act comes to expand the unemployment treatment by doing what? By doing two things, or by the way, three major things. What does it do? The law that comes to actually expand the unemployment benefit, what does it do? It first of all, it increases the amount that the state is supposed to pay people who go into unemployment by allowing them 600, and I'm guessing that everybody is aware of it. So basically, you should be receiving 600. That's the first measure, incentive measure. If you think that you have to work, if you think that you have to go to work, think twice, because the government has put a lot of money, $600 every week for every worker. That is additional to what the state is supposed to give you. The unemployment is normally managed by the state, paid by the state. So it's a state law, but the government is jumping into it. So you know what? Whatever you're supposed to receive, you will receive 600 on top of that. So that's what the new law comes to actually modify the unemployment benefit temporarily, because like I said, at the end of 2020 it will expire. You will not be able to use that again. So if you are receiving 600 per week on top of what your state is supposed to give you, like, I mean, can you really tell me if you should be still taking a risk to go out to say that you are going to work? How much are you receiving? Unemployment most of the time is around, maybe, like, it could be up to 20. I mean, I really don't know. It sometimes depends on the state, but it's around one third or 2/3 of your salary. And how long is the unemployment? It's actually like, it depends on the state, but most of the states are giving the unemployment a limit of 26 weeks. So you should be taking unemployment for 26 weeks. So do you really need to go out there every day to say you're going to work, whereas you can stay home and apply for unemployment? I mean, think about it. So basically, the new law actually comes to expand the unemployment. So not only it gives you 600 more, but it gives you not only it gives you up to 39 weeks of unemployment that you can take right now. So I mean, you are working. Your unemployment that is supposed to be given by the state is a function of what you get paid when you are working. So on top of that, they give you 600. I don't really think there should be any other motivation than going out to save people's life. If you are leaving your house to go to work, if you are leaving your house to go to work, it should be because you think that you have to do your part physically. You have to participate in the world. You really think that your effort, your physical effort will help to win this battle. It doesn't matter what job you do. And it could be that you are a police officer, a detective, you are, a doctor, you are a nurse, practitioner, a nurse, widow. It depends. But if you are going there only because you think that you need to make money to feed your family, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think you have to think about once again. Now that I just exposed how you guys can do to actually get paid, even staying home, now I have to explain about what the unemployment actually is and what are the limitations of it, and why should you be considering other options than the unemployment. Maxime, salut mon frère. I see people, French-speaking people who are actually waving. Hi guys, bonsoir, bonsoir. Comment vous allez? Okay, so basically, we have to consider the limitation of the unemployment whenever we are taking it. We feel like that's the only option. Even though it's the only option, you need to know what to expect when you are taking the unemployment. That is very important. I mean, for me, because some people are surprised that they are taking some type of benefit, then they find themselves like stuck in a situation when the unemployment that they have been taking is actually playing against them. So that's the reason why I actually want to explain a little bit. Maybe I will not explain everything, but at least I should, let you know what is really like visible, what is obvious. Okay, the first thing is that the unemployment that you're taking when you apply for unemployment, basically there is a claim limit. Like we said, unemployment has a claim which is for like a few weeks. That means your unemployment you're not taking forever. So if there's a way to avoid unemployment, try to avoid it, because you will not be taking the unemployment forever. Now, there is a delay into the unemployment. Most people who apply for unemployment will receive the first payment sometimes after 3 weeks of applying. Why? Because the system is really confusing. Not confused, but really a little complicated. When you apply for unemployment, first thing, they don't just take it and give it to you. What they do, they have to actually process your unemployment. They will take every statement that you make into your application process. They will send it to your job, to all your job in the last 18 months. So it doesn't matter if you have been in only one job for the last 18 months, that's good. But if you have been in 3 jobs, like you have during the last 18 months, you changed job twice or 3 times, the government actually has to go back and get the statement, because you have to make a statement about those 3 jobs, and the government has to go back to go job, and they has what, like 10 days to respond. Once they respond, then the government has to go back to you, to say, okay, actually they have 10 days to make objection, to say, oh, what this guy is saying is wrong. We never fired him. He came here to work after 1 day. He just left. He never came back. That's his play against you. That means you have a chance not to be approved. That's the first thing. Even though you should be approved for that, it's still a long process, because all these people has to actually reply to the government, to the agency that's allowed the unemployment. And when they reply, then the government will come back and reply to you to say, okay, yes, okay, yeah, we got everything. And I know people who apply for unemployment, they work for a week, sometimes a month, they get denied for unemployment. Yeah, you can get denied for unemployment because what you are stating what you are stating is not true. It's an application. It's a long application process that you have to go through. So basically, beside that, the other thing you have is that you have to stay in the state. If you take an unemployment here in New York or in New Jersey, you hear that, okay, I can take unemployment for how many weeks? 39 weeks. Now, New Jersey or New York is really bad with the coronavirus. Let me go to Arizona, let me go to Texas, or they didn't prevent people from driving their car. They didn't even close all the frontier or the limit from state. People were arguing that New Jersey should close the bridge or the tunnel from New Jersey side to prevent people from coming from New York to New Jersey, because New Jersey is really infected by the coronavirus. But there's nothing taken there. So somebody can start applying for unemployment now and start driving to the area that he thinks is safer. Taking all his family to go there. The unemployment tells you can't do that. You have to remain in your state where you're taking unemployment from. So basically that could be a constraint, because it might happen that I have to move. People were moving. The coronavirus is spread around the world because people are moving from one area to another one, thinking that the other area is safer. That maybe they are already infected. So that is one requirement that you have to do when you are on unemployment. If it's established that you left the state, those are criminal penalties. It's like you are defrauding the law. It's like you are they assume that maybe you are going there to look for a new job. So why are you taking money here and you go and stay in the different state? So basically, that is what unemployment says. The other thing is that the really big thing that you consider when taking unemployment is what is called fringe benefit. The fringe benefit is every advantage that you take when you are a worker. Like what? When you are a worker, almost all the job can provide. It depends on you if you want to take it or no. Most of the job will provide what they call medical and dental insurance. That means if you are receiving medical and dental insurance, think about it. If you have to lose it, is the unemployment worth it enough for you to lose your medical coverage, your dental of eye doctor coverage? It's like you have to think twice. That's not the only fringe benefit. The other fringe benefit is what? Some companies give people car. I have a customer who always come to my office with the company's car. You are driving the company's car. You don't spend money for gas, don't spend money for insurance. You can even sell your car because you're using a company's car. That's part of fringe benefit. It will cost you money if you have to actually pay for transportation, but you are receiving it for free. And that's not, I will come to it, that's not even taxable because it has a value. When the company actually is doing its taxes, he has to take it as an expense. That means it's like if the company purchase a car, Toyota, $36,000 and give it to you. That's an expense for the company, but you don't actually claim it as an income in your taxes when you file your taxes. That's a good thing for you. Your insurance, your health insurance, when you are receiving health insurance from your company, it's an expense for the company for whatever percentage that they contribute. But the company is taken as an expense. You are not taking as an income in your taxes. So it's a good thing. Another thing is the retirement plan. Everybody knows that when you have a 401k, the company actually contributes, I think it's a half of it. That means if your 401k is $50,000, it means it's actually 24 because the company has put $24,000 inside your retirement account. Most of the time it's IRA and 401k. So basically, when you take unemployment, it's gone. Now, if you want to keep up with your your retirement account, you have to contribute the 100% yourself. Think about it. So yeah, the last thing is not all the company allows that, but most company will allow some that they call educational assistance. Like they will repay you, or they will even pay for your education, or will pay for whatever you spend for your education. Most company will pay that. I'm not talking about those small business owner, real company, because we have like around 44 million small businesses, like big business, but they are considered as small businesses. So basically what happened is that if you are losing your job because you go into unemployment, what happens is that you lose all of that. Some companies even offer like daycare assistance. It's like that we say, okay, you can bring your child here, we pay for the daycare, or maybe you pay half or one quarter or 1/3 of the cost of the daycare. The company is paying for the difference. Sometimes it's even free, or sometimes you will get some type of stipend or bonus at the end of the month to help you to pay for your daycare. So these are so many benefits that you should be considering when you are taking the unemployment. So yeah, and like I said, those unemployment are not taxable. That means most people will get like benefit that is even higher than the actual salary. If you are receiving 401k, you are receiving dental insurance, you are receiving a car, you have a car available for by the job and that you can use. You have everything, you have education payback, you pay for your education like 30,000, the company is paying back to you. Now, when you lose or when you go to unemployment, you are losing all of that. Whatever they're supposed to pay, they stop because you're no longer an employee. So now that you know what to expect when you are taking unemployment, now you have to know if you really still want to take it. I'm going now to the other portion or other option that you have when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to financing relief when you are staying home. I talked about at the beginning, you have the Family First Coronavirus Response that creates two major law into that law that was signed on March 18, 2020. The first one is called emergency family leave. That actually lets you guys know that, okay, you are staying home. You are not be getting paid. You can go out. What you can receive is that we as a government, the government has, mandate the company to actually pay you for staying home. The only thing you have to do is to let the company know that, okay, there is a new law that was passed that allowed employee to take what is called emergency family leave. That's the only thing you have to do, to take that provision. Once you take the first one, you will take the second one. The second one is called emergency paid sick leave, which actually allows you to actually again take some type of payment when you are staying home, and you keep everything as a normal employee. That means all the benefit that I just told you, you don't lose all of them, and your employer doesn't have the right to lay you off. It doesn't have the right to fire you because you stay home and you receiving money. So basically, what do you have to do? First thing, as opposed to unemployment, those two benefits contained in the first Family Coronavirus Response Act. Those two benefits, like I said, makes you keep all your benefits, and you can even take those benefits. The law doesn't say that you have to stay in the same state. I just say here that with the unemployment, you can take unemployment and go and move from a different state. This law, just as the normal family leave that you take, you can travel, right? When you take the sick leave or take your family leave, you take your 20 days vacation, they don't prevent you from going out of the state or even out of the country. It means what? It means I can take the unemployment here, I can take the family leave here. It's given for 12 weeks. You can have it for 12 weeks. During the 12 weeks, I can travel. I can go. I mean, if they didn't stop everything, I can travel and go out and enjoy my life with my family, and I'm still getting paid because I evoked the reason that is acceptable by the law, not by the company. The law, the reason that is stated in the law to be able to take it. So basically, what do we have to know? What you have to know is that who is eligible, or who is actually eligible to take that unemployment. Who is actually eligible to unemployment? Basically, I will say everybody is not unemployment, the family leave. I mean, almost everybody is qualified to take the family leave, because the reason that the government says what, if you qualify for this condition, right? If you qualify for, the first thing they say is what they call it quarantine or isolation. If you are mandated by the federal or the state or your local government to stay home, and I see in most of the states, I mean, they have been arguing that we still have some states that didn't give the stay-home order or whatever it is, but most of the states has issued the stay-home order. That is the isolation. It's given. It's a law. It's like a law. I see in Newark, police officer in the car driving in the street to ask people what they're doing outside, because they ask people to stay home. If you are outside, you're going to work, and you are part of people who are allowed to work. So basically, that's the first thing. I really don't know if I need to talk about the other reason why you can take the emergency family leave, because the first one, almost everybody is concerned into that law. You could be put in quarantine or isolation by the government, or you could take what they call self quarantine. That means when you have been advised by your health care, if you call your health care, you're like, oh, I don't feel, I'm having some type of fever, or my stomach is crazy, or like I'm okay, your care provider tells you what, just self-isolate yourself, stay away from your family or whatever it is. So you go into the self-quarantine. The government didn't actually issue it. Let's say a state where the government didn't issue the stay-home order, but you have some concern because in those states, we still have case of positive coronavirus there, just that it's not that higher. So if you have some type of concern and you are like, I really don't know what to do, you call your doctor, and your doctor tells you you have to self-isolate yourself. Then you qualify. The other reason is that you are taking care of other. If you're taking care of somebody who is actually in quarantine, it's like your family member or a friend or your roommate, he doesn't have nobody, you have to take care of him, right? You qualify. If you are, or it could be a family member, it could be anyone that you're taking care of, you qualify. If your school, not your school, your children's school are closed, then you have to be home to take care of them. You qualify. If even though the school was not closed, but the daycare is closed, there's nowhere to put your children after school to go to work. Now you qualify. If you have any other reason that is close, they call it similar condition. You have any other reason that is close to what we said, you still qualify. So actually, They are just telling people that, you know what, we are giving money to the company. Just go take yours. That's the way. That's how I understand the thing. Is that they are giving money to the government, because I'm not talking about businesses here. I talked about business in the last part video. They are almost 500, almost $400 billion money that is given to business owner. They should know how to take it. So it's their part to go get that money. Your part is to go and claim what you're supposed to receive, and avoid putting your life in danger. By putting your life in danger, you are putting your friend and family life in danger. Okay, if you have to stay home, now I gave you two options. The first option was to take unemployment. It looks like the first option that you have before you receive what you're receiving now, if you didn't search for it, because many people will look for it. We look for many options, other options than unemployment. But if you haven't been looking for it, and you're learning just now, you know that you have other options than unemployment if you haven't received it yet. So beside the unemployment is how many times? It's a 12 weeks. You can take not unemployment, sorry, the emergency family leave. You can take it for 12 months, for 12 weeks. After the 12 weeks, during the 12 weeks, they only pay you for from the 3rd week to the 12th week. That means you have 10-week pay. 10-week pay. You don't have the 2 first week pay. But what happens is that the new law, or the other new provision of that law, which is called emergency pay leave, which is for 10 days, comes to just compensate that portion of the law that doesn't pay you for the 2 weeks. So basically, what it does is that you take you take first the unemployment. How much can you receive for family leave? The law says that the employer could be paid up to 2/3 of the regular pay. The employer could be paid up to 2/3 of the regular pay, and the maximum is $200 a day. So basically, think about it. I don't know how much you're receiving, but you should be able to receive up to 2/3 of your regular pay by staying home. Like by staying home and by not be considered as unemployed. Oh, I forgot about one thing. The bigger thing when you take unemployment is the work gap. When you take unemployment, there's a work gap. That means you know what work gap is. Whenever you are going to apply for the job, whenever there is a gap between two jobs, you have to justify. And sometimes it's a red flag for a recruiter to see so many, work gap between jobs. The job continuity. When your working history should not be like 1 month job, you out for 3 months, another job, and so on. So, and the other thing is that if you are considering financing stuff, you are considering buying house or financing your car, or do whatever you're supposed to do, your job history will be critical to you. So you actually have to consider. I forgot about that when I was talking about the limitation of taking unemployment. So I come back to the measure that they are taking to allow people to actually taking some type of financing, some type of pay, without being considered as like somebody who doesn't have a job. So basically, what we say is that you get paid for staying home, for emergency sick leave, or emergency family leave for up to 2/3 of your pay. Now, how much do you get paid for sick leave? For sick leave, you can get paid at 2 different rates. The first rate is that the government has to choose between, I'm talking about the sick leave now. The government has to choose between the highest between what? Between what you actually get paid when you are working. Not the government, I'm talking about your employer. Your employer has to choose between what you get paid when you are working, or what is the minimum wage by the federal, or what is the minimum wage by the local government when you stay. What's the minimum wage in your state? So the government will choose, not the government, your employer should choose among those 3 and pick the highest one. So basically, that is what you should be receiving generally. But there are 2 limitations. if you are staying home, you are taking emergency leave because of the 3 first measures that I mentioned earlier. Like if you are staying home because quarantine or isolation or self-isolation, self-quarantine, or I mentioned those two reasons, or you are actually infected by coronavirus yourself, you could be paid from those 3 different pay rates at the maximum of $511 a day. That means what? If your pay is your daily pay, when they calculate from what you are getting paid per hours, at the end you will see your pay days, the highest one between the 3 rates is like it come up to be $600 per days. They will only pay you $511 for the 10 days. So that is actually $10 for the 10 days. If the reason that you have to put in front to stay home and get paid is you have to watch for your children, because the school and the school is closed, the daycare is closed, and just helping some other people, then you can take the maximum you can receive. It's not the 3 other rate that I gave you. I'm trying to help you know what you should receive for any type of benefit. You should receive up to 2/3 of your salary, normal salary, but the limit is no longer $511. The limit is only $200, just as the family leave. I just told you already, the family is up to 2/3 of your salary that you can receive for that period of time, and you are keeping all the benefit that you're supposed to receive. That means you are still considered as employee, whereas you are receiving all this benefit. So basically, what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose, but you have to be confident when you are doing it. Why? Because there are so many employers that are not even aware of the law. I mean, the owner of the business is aware, but your HR or any type of supervisor or manager might not be aware of it. That means when you are going there to apply for it, what does the law says? The law typically says that you should inform your job that you want to take it. You don't have to ask them. You're not asking them for a favor. You have to inform them. Now your job can tell you what is the process to apply. Your job might tell you, you know what, you have to come in and take the paper and fill it out. Or your job might say, you know what, you have to, okay, here's the link. When you go there, the first thing, you call them, you inform them that you are taking the emergency family leave. You are not taking the normal family leave. You are taking the emergency family leave, which is a temporary law that was signed by the government last month. Let them know that, because I have people, friends of mine, who will be like, I call my job, they say, no, I don't qualify because I'm a part-time. It doesn't matter whether you are part-time or full-time. One of the requirements, you know what's the requirement? Is that for the last 3 days, you have been working in that company. The law doesn't specify whether you should be part-time or full-time or per diem. It doesn't really matter, because you're still a taxpayer, you're still an individual that need to be taken care of. So basically, the law says, they call it 30-day calendaring. That means you should have been in the paycheck for 30 days. That is basically maybe the last 2 paychecks. Even though your paycheck was only $5, you are in the paycheck. It doesn't say you should have been full-time for 30 days. No. Have you been in the paycheck for 30 days? Yes. Then you qualify. You are not asking them. You are actually not asking them if you qualify or no. You tell them, because you know the law. If somebody needs more information, you can ask me by people who know my phone number, then call me. People who don't know my phone number, plus put the question below on the comment of this video or on YouTube to get more information if you are still confused. Right? And when I stop here in the next 5 minutes, if you have a question, you can type your question, or you can actually call. I really don't know how to call to join the video. People who do that can try. When I say that, we are doing Q&A, that means question and answer. So basically, when you go there, Don't be shy. Don't be somebody who is asking for information. Be the person who is actually letting them know that you know what you are talking about. That's the point. I mean, there are so many rights that we lose because we think we are not entitled to that right. When you are taking it, just go there, because the only option you have is what? Is stay home, not getting nothing, or take unemployment. But you still have to be considered as an employee, whereas you're getting paid, whereas you keep your money flowing. So basically, like I said, you don't have to ask them. You have to convince them. You have to ask to talk to the upper supervisor, upper manager, until you get to the person who is supposed to get the ultimate information. I'll tell them, inform them that it's a violation. It's a big violation. It's just like you are firing somebody for no reason, because if you are staying home, you're not getting paid. If you don't come to work, you get paid by hours. So if you don't get paid, you don't sign out, you don't get paid. So what to do to get paid? You inform them. Now what they can do, what the law says, they can tell you what will be the process of applying for that. When it comes to emergency pay sick leave, remember that these are two measures. The emergency sick leave allows you to be, it doesn't even mention for how long you should have been working. It doesn't even mention the 30 days. That means the 30 days is for family leave. When you apply for family leave, mention that I have been working in the last 30 days. I also received paycheck for 30 days within this company, so I qualify for emergency family leave. Don't ask them. Instead, try to call to ask them, whoever you're talking to, who is the authority I can talk to for me to be at the same level with him or her, because I feel I can notice that you are not aware of what you don't even know what I'm talking about. So you have to be convincing, otherwise you're not even nothing. And the money is there, and maybe this company is even taking that money, because they put a lot of money, up to 1 million, up to 10 million per businesses as a loan, a forgiving loan. That means a loan that if they're taking that loan, if they actually pay you guys for sick leave, for staying home, it's not even for only paying the loan, only for paying the employee, also for being paid for paying for the utility, and for rent or mortgage, or any other financial engagement that the company has. So basically, if you like them, if you want to help them, tell them that there is a 1 million, 10 million grant for you guys businesses to take. But we as employees, the provision allow us to actually go there and ask for the financial relief, family leave. And like I said, the emergency pay leave doesn't require that you should have been working there for 30 days. As soon as you are considered as an employee with that company, even though you were hired, I don't know, 3 days before April 1st, you qualify. So now I think I talk a lot about those two things. Now I would like to know if you guys have question. If you have question, try to call within the live. I don't know if there's a way to call from the live, but you can call from the live. Not for, I see people calling my phone number. Don't call my phone number. Try to call. I see people call me from WhatsApp. Don't call me from WhatsApp. Please call on the live or type the question. And yeah, I have this question that was asked yesterday by a friend. Was asking, okay, what happens if I'm working? I'm working, I'm also doing Uber. I mean, you have two different type of source of income. Can I still take the unemployment because of everything that is happening? I left my job. I'm only doing Uber. I'm doing Uber Eats, because you have to understand, when you're a business owner, you have to be able to adapt to the situation. Or today, if you are doing Uber is not working because people are not going out. But guess what is going out? Many restaurants are still working on the back end and doing delivery. You can now work as an Uber delivery, Uber Eats. That's what they call it. So you are still working as an Uber Eats. Maybe you are making more money because there are more requests, there are more demand in terms of food. I order so many food. I never leave my house. So I have them delivered to my door, my food, the food that I order from the restaurant. So you can do that, but you can still qualify for everything that I just said. Whether you want to take unemployment, you think about it. I just laid out all the advantages or the cons about the unemployment. Or you can also take the family leave and the sick leave that I just told you. Because you are not actually working. You tell your job, because of everything that is going on, I have to be home because I'm taking care of my children. The law didn't ask your job to actually investigate to know if you are actually staying home because of your children. The law didn't mention that, okay, you know what, bring the paper that proves that your children are not going to school. They know that all the schools are closed. I mean, it's not by everybody that all the schools are closed. So if you can tell that, then you are taking unemployment or not only unemployment, but that portion of the benefit, because you love that job. Now on the other side, you are doing your Uber. The same side, now I mentioned Uber. Now I'm gonna put in this tip that I mentioned on previous video, is that if in the case you have lost your Uber and you're still doing your job because you are a nurse, you are a doctor, and then you are keep working, but your Uber activity is stopped. I just mentioned that the government put like $10 million to small businesses, but the government also gave $10,000 to small businesses as advance loan, which is actually a grant. That means if you have lost your Uber activity, then even though you are still working, you have lost your business. Uber activity is your business. You have lost that, but you still have your W-2 job. You can still apply for the 10,000 loan, but I'm not going to go deep into that because it wasn't the point of the video. So basically the point of the video is that you should know the option that you have when you are applying for unemployment. What are the options that you have? And if you have any other question, I will really urge you to ask before we stop for the last 5 minutes. And I basically almost share everything that I wanted to share, but that's not everything. And by the time you guys are sending you guys questions, and I will explain a little bit. I will do a summary in French for the people who are in the live, that are French-speaking people. Basically, je suis en train de dire aux gens, n'est-ce pas, que le gouvernement, pour éviter aux gens, n'est-ce pas, de mettre leur vie en danger, on leur a dit restez à la maison, on vous paye. Pratiquement restez à la maison, on vous paye. Restez à la maison, on vous paye le salaire chômage. Et je suppose que chaque pays qui se respecte au monde devrait faire pareil. J'ai causé avec un ami en France qui me faisait savoir ce que la disposition qui est prise pour les entreprises, parce que c'est aussi un chef d'entreprise. Mais la disposition qui est prise pour les chefs d'entreprise, pour les employés, il m'a presque pas fait savoir à propos. Mais plusieurs pays qui se respectent sont en train de prendre des mesures. Ça veut dire ici, aux États-Unis, le gouvernement dit restez à la maison. Le salaire chômage que chacun est censé recevoir, c'est déterminé par ton État. Mais au-dessus de ça, on te donne $600 par semaine. Est-ce que ce n'est pas une mesure incitative enough, assez pour que chacun reste chez soi, pour permettre aux combats, aux soldats de la médecine de combattre cet ennemi invisible? So, c'est en fait de ça que je parle en anglais. So basically, on a besoin que tous les combattants ici puissent respecter l'ordre que donné par le gouvernement de réduire. C'est-à-dire que l'accumulation, l'augmentation du nombre de cas dans les hôpitaux, on crée les hôpitaux partout, dans les stades, dans les musées, on crée les hôpitaux partout, parce que c'est saturé. Alors, on vous dit, restez chez vous. Si tu ne peux pas rester chez toi parce que tu vas travailler, tu n'as pas besoin de travailler. Il y a un emploi qui est disponible pour toi. Alors, maintenant, même si l'emploi est disponible, alors je viens vous dire, il y a une autre option qui est même meilleure qu'un emploi. Mais ce n'est pas toujours meilleur. Je dis, tu dois constater plusieurs choses. Un employment te permet, n'est-ce pas, d'être payé. Mais une autre mesure que le gouvernement dispose te fait comprendre que à côté d'un employment, si tu peux demander ce qu'on appelle family leave, je ne sais pas comment on appelle en français, c'est le congé payé, congé maladie, je ne sais pas comment on appelle. Mais ils mettent deux mesures. Ils disent tu peux dire que tu es malade, ou bien tu as le coronavirus, ou bien un membre de la famille a le coronavirus, met ton enfant à la maison, et puis tu dois rester à la maison pour t'occuper d'eux. Et puis on te paye jusqu'à 2 tiers de ton salaire. Et tu restes à la maison et tu peux même voyager, c'est-à-dire que tu peux même quitter le pays pour voyager. Juste que les frontières sont fermées, mais si les frontières ne sont pas fermées, tu peux quitter. Alors qu'un employement t'empêche de sortir. Un employement que tu reçois, t'empêche, n'est-ce pas, de prendre tous les bénéfices que ton entreprise en fait te donne. Quand tu es dans l'unemployment, tu perds la contribution pour ton retirement, ta retraite, ta pension retraite. L'entreprise, en principe, contribue pour toi. Elle contribue une partie, tu contribues une autre partie. Alors, quand tu es dans l'employment, tu perds tout cela. Dans l'employment, tu perds maintenant la continuité du travail. Si plus tard, tu as envie de faire un financement d'une voiture, d'une maison, n'importe quoi, ou ça demande l'intervention de la banque, on va voir ce qu'on appelle work history. Lorsqu'on voit que ton work history est interrompu, c'est un désavantage pour toi. Alors, c'est de ça que je suis en train de parler. Et il y a donc deux mesures, ça s'appelle ça Family Leave qui te permet de prendre jusqu'à 2 tiers. Là, ça s'appelle Sick Leave qui te permet de recevoir jusqu'à parfois $510 par semaine en restant à la maison, en évoquant juste cela. Et je faisais aux frères comprendre pour savoir que quand tu y vas, tu ne demandes pas à ton entrepreneur, en fait, à ton patron que tu as envie de prendre. Est-ce que je peux prendre? Non, tu ne demandes pas. C'est une loi qui t'autorise de le prendre. C'est ton employeur qui doit savoir que la loi existe et la respecter. Parce que la loi, l'employeur est en train de commettre une fraude. Et elle peut être sévèrement punie par le gouvernement. Ça ne respecte pas cela. Alors c'est toi, en tant qu'employé, qui dois informer ton employeur, lui faire comprendre que voilà, je ne peux pas sortir parce qu'on a du confinement total, tout le monde à la maison, je suis à la maison de ma famille, je ne peux pas sortir. Alors tu es éligible, disons comme ça. C'est ça qui est la question. Et si tu as quelqu'un qui fait dans le self-emploi, dans l'auto-emploi, on te dit, même dans l'auto-emploi, tu peux rester à la maison et appliquer pour le unemployment, c'est-à-dire pour appliquer pour le chômage, parce que ton business est fermé. Maintenant, pour le taux d'emploi, vous avez deux solutions. J'ai évoqué cela dans une vidéo lorsque je parlais de comment est-ce que les mesures qu'on a mises pour les chefs d'entreprise. C'est que tu peux, n'est-ce pas, demander un crédit de jusqu'à $10,000 qui n'est pas remboursable. Que tu sois un contracteur ou un chef d'entreprise, ou seulement Uber Driver ou n'importe quoi, tu peux recevoir jusqu'à $10,000. Et c'est ce que je suis en train de faire. Pour ceux qui ne savent pas le faire, vous pouvez le faire vous-même. Allez dans le site du gouvernement, cherchez comment est-ce qu'on applique. Mais si vous ne pouvez pas, je suis disponible pour vous aider. C'est ça qui est la question. Donc tout le monde doit prendre, partout où tu es. Si tu es un chef d'entreprise, tu as perdu ton travail par cause du coronavirus, tu es éligible pour $10,000 qui n'est pas remboursable. Ok? So, en fait, c'est de ça qui est la question. I come back in French. So, if you have question, you can start typing your question. So, there's everything laid down for you guys to, to just stay home and make money. And by staying home making money, you are allowing the government to implement the measure, implement whatever they think as a solution to defeat this enemy, this invisible enemy. So I don't know what else we have to share. I have this other question from a friend of mine who was asking if somebody is working part-time, can the person still take the unemployment? I will say yes. You can still take the unemployment if your job hour was reduced due to everything that is going on, because they are firing some people and they are reducing some people hours. You can take it. Like you're taking unemployment and you are still working. But you have to actually wait everything to see, is it worth it to stay home, like and receive 2/3 of your salary, or keep going to work and receive maybe half or only 1/3 because you receive an unemployment. So you have to actually think about what is the best option for you. So basically, I don't know if you guys still have a question, because we are going to close the video very soon. Do you still have a question? Oui, vous avez des questions. Posez des questions en français. You can ask your question in French. I will translate in English and answer it. You can ask the question. So basically, we have everything to make us stay home when we are fighting this invisible enemy. And I'm gonna leave you at this point, and I hope you guys got something out of this meeting. And depending on the question I will be receiving, I might come back with a new live to answer them if I think it's worth it, not only to be answer them from the phone or by chat. Maybe I will make another video to answer them. So thank you so much for the live, and I hope you guys a really wonderful day. Ciao.